these plans that all of us may have to do for our jobs already. I know as a grant writer, I have to deliver to all of my granting agencies exactly what I did and how I did it and what were the measurable outcomes of that grant. And I believe that our department heads are qualified enough to do that, and that would allow me as the mayor to sit and actually take those reports and be able to prepare for you, the public, what we've gotten done. And at the beginning of each year, we would lay out a plan. This is our vision for the year. This is how we're going to spend your tax dollars, and we would track it. These are our measurable outcomes, and at some point, we may not reach them. There may be something that occurs that doesn't allow us to reach our goal. And we need to explain to you why didn't we reach the goal? What happened? Why did we decide to go a different route? Maybe that other route actually ended up being a better idea. But if we don't tell you that, at the end of my term, 4 years from now, I need to be able to show you exactly what I've done. I can't just point to a community and say, look, it's better now. I need to be able to tell you, this is what exactly our administration has done. These are the steps we took to get there, and this is how much it cost us to do it. And you just need to know that. Thank you.
Well, this is an easy one, right? Of course, monthly reports. We want to hold the accountable, the department heads accountable for what they're doing. We have to keep track of the spending. You don't want to allow spending at will without keeping a close watch on what's going on. So certainly we'll hold the department heads accountable for what they're doing. We'll produce reports. So I know what's going on, and then when we have the town hall meetings, I can explain to you what's going on.
Mr. Flacco and Mr. Noble. Mr. Flacco will go first. Do either of you see a problem working with relatives in city government? You're not giving this one up. How would you handle it?
I got to go first, right?
Yes.
So I would say that I would be against nepotism at any level of government, including city government. I, of course, at the same time, trust the voters, and that's their decision to make in November.
So nepotism, I get this question a lot. And so nepotism is it's when someone does something unethical, to hire someone, to put someone in a position, to appoint someone because they're related, because they're a friend, because you bought your food from this guy, and he owes you a favor, and so you give him a position. I can tell you today that no one in my administration, either currently there or will be there in the future, will ever have had their job because of that. You need to be able to be qualified, you need to be able to do your job well, and again, if you're not able to do that, you shouldn't have the job. And for me, I know for me, when I came back from college, I was working as a summer camp counselor for my Parks and Recreation department, all through high school, all through college. And when I came back, with my wife, Julie, who's my colleague currently, we worked to convince the city of Kingston that the type of programming that we were doing, the type of ecotourism that we were bringing into the city, and the type of grants that we could write to be able to develop the programs that we've done for the last 10 years was worthwhile. At first, people were like, I'm not even sure. There's even a former mayor in the audience who would swear he would never hire us. But what I did was I actually went ahead and showed on paper that the work that we did benefited the city, that the work that we did could be funded by grants. And so, yes, we were able to work and get hired and create these jobs. And we are now going to be in an interesting situation. My wife, if I'm elected mayor, will work for the city of Kingston. But what I think is important is that she will have a supervisor that is not me. And I think that should be the case across city board. And again, that follows our own city policies is that, and again, your local business as well, is that we should never have a family member being supervised directly by another family member. It just doesn't make sense. It's not good business.
Kingston experience flooding during heavy rains. This is largely due to the brooks acting as storm drains, but for many, the issue is compounded by the loss of power for extended periods of time. If elected mayor, what would you do to alleviate this issue for many of the city's residents?
One of the things that I've had the opportunity to do in my career for the city is that I've worked with the engineering department and have helped manage the stormwater program. And so I have unfortunately been too well versed in the problems of stormwater in our city. And some of them are quite large, where we're dealing with whole neighborhoods that get inundated with water, and a stormwater system that is unfamiliar, actually, to be able to deal with that water. And so there are some innovative ways that the city has tried to be able to help deal with some of those issues, but then others are very localized. Some of the issues are because our Department of Public Works forgot to clean out the manhole, and they got filled with sediment, and so it backed up and flooded your basement. And so those are two different issues. I think that the city needs to be able to continue to maintain its good housekeeping and continue to push forward with keeping better records of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and when we're doing it, so that those localized issues don't happen as often. With our larger city issues, one of the interesting grants that I was able to write and receive and get implemented was we actually now know for the first time, every time when it rains really hard, when we have our combined sewer overflows going into the Roundup Creek. So you can go on the city website and actually find out if we've had one of those events where there could then be raw sewage in the Roundup. So it lets you know that maybe today's not a great day to go kayaking in the Roundup. And so those are the types of things that I think are good for the community to become aware of what our stormwater issues are, but there are also some really interesting ways to go about doing it. You may have heard the word green infrastructure, where it looks just like regular concrete or asphalt, but instead it actually lets the water suck down through and infiltrate into the ground without going into the storm basin. And we've done multiple of those projects. We're currently working on a parking lot, two parking lots in Uptown Kingston that will have that same technology. And those are critical to kind of making Kingston look beautiful, but again, it's lessening the burden on our sewage treatment plant, which already is, having issues. Thank you.
Well, we have to work with engineers to come up with a solution. I had personally been on Main Street in Emerson after a big rainstorm. The entire basement is flooded coming up into the house. So this is a major issue throughout the city. We need to work with the citizens and engineers, come up with the solutions, and pick the best option. You can't rush into an option. You got to pick the best one. Thank you.
And one more about money. How do you propose to enhance, this is from Mr. Flacco, how do you propose to enhance the business community while cutting taxes?
Well, this goes back to my beginning with the outside the box. We have to work closely with the businesses. This is going to be, my administration is going to be a joint venture with business and government. We're going to come up with new ideas, new innovative ideas. We've been raising taxes for 20 years here. We're stuck in the same status quo for 20 years raising taxes. So with the business community and myself, my administration working together, we're going to develop new ideas, change the mindset, move forward. We have a great city here, and we have great people. They're hardworking. There's so much potential in our city, whether it be tourism. We need to work together with everyone. Thank you.
One of the issues that I didn't get to talk about earlier that I think plays really well into the economic development piece is that we have a lot of vacant buildings. If you look at Broadway, there are some beacons of light along Broadway that we've seen come up over the last couple of years, which is excellent news. But there are so many areas of Broadway that need to be revived. One of the ways that I believe we should do that is we should work with the property owners. We should create, and again, this would have to be done with the Common Council, but I believe a tax abatement program that can involve working with all of our partners, both at the county level and here locally, to work to create a district where if you have a vacant building, we can incentivize you to move into that building by delaying or lessening the burden for the first few years of your taxable liabilities, because currently these vacant buildings are being assessed for so low that there wouldn't necessarily be a direct impact to our bottom line as it sits in terms of our taxable revenues coming in. But what it would allow us to do is to start to generate these businesses. And within 2 to 3 years, as these businesses have then gotten on their feet, they've hired these employees, they can start to then be taxed at the more appropriate levels and have the buildings be reassessed at that point. Instead of immediately having someone come into a city, redevelop a building, and then the next 6 months later your building is reassessed and your taxes triple or quadruple within that first year while you're still trying to pay off your early mortgage loans, you're still trying to get your employees up and running and attracting employees to the area. So I think that's a really critical step, and it's a program that I would look forward to working with the Common Council on developing for the future, because we really do need it. And many cities around the state, whether it's the city of Ithaca and others, have used these tax abatement programs to spur economic development in critical areas. It would be for the whole city. It would just be in these areas that defined in our comprehensive plan that need focus. I think one of the other things about economic development that again is missing here in the city is that if we don't, we're done.
What are your this is for you, Mr. Noble. What are your creative ideas for financing the infrastructure improvements that will certainly be needed in the next 40 years and possibly could pick up something?
Sure. One of the things that we did touch on this earlier that I think is critical is that planning ahead. We just recently, with this Common Council in the city, we conducted a gap analysis to look at where's our gap of information. Where do we not know how well our pipes are doing? Where do we not know how our infrastructure, the quality of our infrastructure? That type of study will allow us, one, to teach our departments how better to track our assets, and two, how we're able to actually move forward and plan to replace these assets, because all of us don't have to look very far to see that we're a very old city with very old infrastructure, and that we need to be able to make sure that our infrastructure is working, because if not, our economic development agenda, our economic development goals aren't going to happen, because if people don't have sewer, they don't have water, and they don't have the transportation system working to their benefit, they're not going to come here. They're going to go to another town that has prioritized infrastructure. So by planning ahead, it allows the city of Kingston to use resources that New York State provides. There are multiple grant programs, but you have to write these grants first. You have to then get the grant. You then have months and months of contracting to be able to add access to this funding, and then you can do the project. That doesn't work if your infrastructure just failed. But what it does work is when you've identified your key priority projects and you've gone to New York State, you've gone to the Environmental Facilities Corporation, you've gone to the DEC for their Water Quality Improvement Program grants, you've gone ahead and said, these are our priority projects, this is what we're going to do to get these done. And again, accidents are going to happen, things are going to come up that we didn't know about, and those are some of the things that we just are going to have to bite the bullet and get done and bond for and just move on. But we have to be able to look at the future, because we don't, our kids, our future are who are going to be responsible for this mess. And I don't want to leave my child that type of debt before he's even old enough to go to kindergarten.
Thank you.
That question again. I think I got it. I'll go ahead.
No, I haven't. Okay. How you creatively finance the infrastructure improvements that will certainly be needed in the next 4 years?
Well, we need to proactively maintain the infrastructure. That's a key element in economic development, as we're talking about here. When people are looking to move to a city, one of the things to look at is the services that are going to be provided. How is the sewer going to work? The water supply. So it's very critical to make sure that we have infrastructure that is alerting to outside people to come in here. Are programs available to assist in this area? We need to, in order to generate the revenue, we need to use some of these facilities and these venues that we have here in the city of Kingston to our advantage. We talked already a little bit earlier about using East Stadium to its utmost, to round out. We have a beautiful waterfront. We should be producing so much more revenue and attraction and activities down there to generate the revenue for all this. So we want to use new ideas to generate the revenue to take care of the infrastructure. Thank you.
So we have 6 minutes left, which we want to leave at 8:30. That's 3 minutes each, which they have agreed on. And Mr. Polacco, you go first. This is the summary.
Well, once again, I'd like to thank Women League of Voters and Congregation of Mayoral for putting on the event. It's very nice. Thank you for inviting me here. I would like to ask each and every one of you tonight for your vote. Because once I'm elected, I can return Kingston back to the crown jewel that it was.
I made a contract.
Hello, everybody. Right in the middle of my clothes. I made a conscious effort to get involved, and with your help, we can achieve these goals. I believe that as a society we need to make some real changes. Those changes have to be made right now. We must bring in new business, family-sustaining jobs. We must have a city that lets the residents know those dreams can be achieved right here in Kingston. Live, work, retire right here. As mayor, I will comply with the state tax rate, state tax cap.
I think you better try to use that, because I don't think they're going to hear
Give me
you.
back. Jesus. Residents expect their government to be lean, efficient, and business friendly. My administration will be business friendly. Business people, in my administration, we will form a business advisory board to meet on a regular basis to improve the business community, to improve our city, provide jobs. I need to know what they need. What are we not doing that you need? We have wonderful jewels here that I mentioned quite a few times. Round Out, East Stadium, UPAC, Stockade District. As mayor, I'll give the police department the tools they need to succeed. As mayor, I will do my utmost to make sure that we have economic development. As mayor, I'll protect our water supply so that you, citizens, can make a decision on their own future with your water. As mayor, I'll keep taxes low and have a business-friendly administration. I submit to you that with a new vision and not the status quo, we can bring this to a future and we can have a great Kingston. Thank you.
I hope I've been able to demonstrate to you tonight that I am qualified, prepared, and ready to lead this city over the next 4 years. I have spent countless hours knocking on doors, getting to see a new side of the city that I haven't gotten to see. And every day, when I wake up, I go to work, and I think to myself, what am I doing? I realized that I'm actually doing what is, the best thing I could probably ever do, is to serve the city to the fullest, my fullest potential, and to be able to create a community that is vibrant, that has the economic development that we all hope for, that has good quality parks, that has an arts community and a business community that is thriving, a community that supports each other, a community that cares about one another's needs, and a community that is willing to have a conversation with its government about priorities and really how to solve the problems that we deal with. Because as mayor, one of the biggest things that I'm going to have to be is a problem solver. I believe that solving problems is really the role of the mayor's office. It's to bring the right people together. It's to be able to have that fair, consistent, professional leadership day in and day out, and to make sure that you're listening. Because as a mayor, you have to listen to both the people around you, the people in our community, and always make sure that the people that you're listening to have the best interests of the city of Kingston in mind. And so for me, as someone that was born and raised here, went to college, and was able to come back and actually be able to create a life for me and my family, that is going to be ultimate, is to be able to give to the city and to be able to leave a mark on the city that allows all of us to know that it's going to be better in 4 years. And it's going to be a challenge. It's something, though, that we're going to have to work really hard on. And it's going to be something that is just going to take the patience and of all of us to get behind and be able to move the city forward and really to bring us all together. I have a slogan or a tagline, and really it's kind of a mantra, One Kingston. And what that means to me is that no matter who you are, no matter what your political affiliations, no matter what your concerns are for the Kingston, we all believe that we want a Kingston that is doing better, that is thriving, that supports all of us. And so with that, I want to thank you all for your support. And again, if you have further questions, please just feel free to let me know.
Thank you. Sponsoring a candidates forum for county executive, and it will be held this coming Monday, October 26th, at the George Washington School. The doors open at 7, and the forum will be from 7:15 to 8:45, so we'll see you there. And don't forget, on November 3rd, bring a friend to vote.